what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
All right. What is it? Sunday night? Must be the Sunday Night Radio Baloney Live. I'm your host, Richie Baloney. How's everybody doing out there? Good to see you guys. Who we got? Spambot, Trudeau Survivor, Izzy, Rosie. How's everybody doing? Lots of applause. Let's go through the menu quickly, and then we'll get to the chat and find out who got the first like for all that extra good karma. First off, crazy stuff going on in Mexico. Gen Z. It's the Gen Z revolution in Mexico. So we will take a little bit of a look at this. We're going to go through the Carney budget, obviously. And by the way, the vote is on tomorrow, is on the budget tomorrow. So we could get an early election. If the budget doesn't pass, I think the NDP will support it. I don't think there'll be an election right away, but maybe in the spring, but we'll have to see. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Jason Jacques, the parliamentary budget officer, who really has just kind of become, I think he's become kind of a celebrity, at least amongst conservatives now. He's very good. We're going to talk Canada stuff, people. We got some Canada stuff. We've got Canada crime here, and it's just absolutely insane. Carney's fast-tracking projects is not really what it seems. We've got some more stuff on the debate over residential schools in the 215 bodies that don't appear to exist. We've got Pierre Poilievre doing a speech here. We're going to see that quickly. We have liberal spending because the liberals love to spend everything, all of your money. Let's see. Well, here they've only spent over $7.1 billion in taxpayer dollars on Canada child benefit payments for non-citizens over the last 9 years, and they're going to keep it going. They're going to keep spending the money, borrowing the money, and then spending it on non-Canadians again for some reason. We're going to take a look at that. Got a quick thing from Dan Bongino here we're going to get into. I guess there's some sort of new thing that sounds ridiculous, and it turns out that it is. Saying that Kash Patel hired him with no background check, which is such a weird thing to say, considering he was a Secret Service for a long time. Very strange. We've got some, so outside of Ottawa's Jewish Community Center, of course, there are fanatics out there with their flags, and they do this on purpose to frighten them. Right? This is pure intimidation. Media doesn't care. They're worried about like a dozen guys in a gym somewhere that have the wrong ideas. That's what they're worried about. They're anything right wing. They can say right wing. They're not worried about this. This is right in front of their noses. They're worried about somebody flew the wrong flag in northern Alberta or collected some, Nazi memorabilia in northern Manitoba. That's who they're worried about. Not worried about this for some reason. Right in front of their noses. The guy screaming death to Israel, death to Canada, death to USA. They just don't care. Media is not interested. Let's see, because this is the new liberal voting base, right? So that's why they don't care. I'm going to go through. Actually, I need to move this forward a little bit. Hold on a second. I wanted to. Where are we? Hold on. All right, I'm going to show you with the land claim stuff, how much of British Columbia and actually how much of Canada is up for grabs now with this stuff, and it's absolutely insane. Something is going to have to break on this because otherwise Canada just won't be a country. So let's see, and we're going to go through. We're going to go through here that some of the lands that, it's 95% of British Columbia that's up for grabs, really. And it's all the, most populated places in BC and some of the most expensive property in the world. So it's all insane and something's going to have to be done. By the way, it's 1.97 trillion is the value of this land and 95% of it's up for grabs. So, and all the parts that make up the 1.97, so $2 trillion. Yeah, Canada's not a real country as it stands right now. We've got a bunch of just palate cleanser, funny stuff here at the end. This will come at the end of the stream. Bunch of stuff you guys sent in, some crazy stuff. It's going to be good times. We're going to talk about this Nick Fuentes. It's somebody I've just not been paying any attention to. This was reposted by Tommy Robinson, and yeah, we're going to talk about this guy. I mean, just from listening to this, to me, it feels like this Nick Fuentes guy is not that he's insincere in any of this, but that he's been propped up by people who need a Nick Fuentes to justify, censorship laws, all that kind of thing. I'm listening to this. I mean, this is what he's saying here is idiotic. So we're going to go over that. I understand that he's funny. People think that he's funny and stuff. I don't know. It's not a corner of the internet I've been paying attention to. I'm not really interested in. But from in that clip, I have to tell you, I'm not very impressed. Anyway, a bunch of stuff here at the end. Let us go to the chat, shall we? And by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, please go to the new YouTube channel, which is where you will find all of the beautiful and wonderful and nutritious videos about the US, the world, UK, meme reviews, AI, all that woke mind virus, all that kind of stuff. It's all going to be on Radio Baloney News now. It's the featured channel on the channel you're watching right now, which is the original Radio Baloney channel. This is only going to be for live streams and Canada news now. Everything else, you're going to have to subscribe to the new channel, Radio Baloney News. You will love it. It's fantastic. And the algorithm ain't going to help me out, folks. So it's really kind of up to you guys. All right. And also, too, we are going to, I just think that it should be a regular thing. We should check in on live now, and just see, if things are breaking. We're going to do that. I think we're going to try and do it every stream. Because sometimes things break and, we're working and that's the way it goes. All right. Let us get to the chat. Spambot Fodder says, let's go. We are. Someone else nabbed the first like, so I guess you got the second. So let's say you got it's 6 times good karma. As everybody knows, we're streaming on Rumble, YouTube, X, and Locals. And when you get the first like at any of those, you don't just get the regular one. I mean, a very healthy portion of good karma, but the one good karma, you get multiples of that. So first, tonight, I never know how much it's going to be. Tonight, it's 6 times. So the second would be 5 times, Spambot. That's a lot. Trudeau Survivor got first. Beautiful. First Rumble and YouTube. So that's 12 good karmas for you, my friend. 12. You can sleep easy tonight. Spambot says, I don't care about GummyTube. He doesn't. I know for a fact he doesn't care. Trudeau Survivor says, I keep the stream open on YouTube because it's easier to read what people type. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't heard that before. Spambot Fodder says, Carney got nonstop booze at the Grey Cup. And CTV lied about it again. I missed it. You've got to, let's go to the clip. Hold on. Let's go to the clip real quick. Because I didn't even know, to be honest. I'm so detached from that. Let's see. Oh, there's no clip. All right. From Jasmine Lane, texted some friends at the Grey Cup. Did Carney get booed multiple times? He did. LOL. Like bad. Haha. Yeah, it was pretty bad. He walked right in front of us and he got booed by everyone. And he did the coin toss and it was deafening boos. Well, a CFL game. I'm not thinking that's a really liberal crowd. So that would make a lot of sense. All right. Let's see. All right. Let's keep moving. Judos Forever says, remember Let's Go Brandon? That was classic. That was beautiful. Meme magic. Let's see. Okay, Izzy got like number 3, so that's a 4 times good karma for you, my friend. Beautiful. Spambot got the first like on X. Well, that's 6 then. Plus 5, that's 11. Let's see. Rosie says, I see you got 3, makes me 4. So Rosie's 4, so that's 3, I guess. I think that's 3 good karmas for you. Do the math in my head. As Katanji Jackson Brown says, I'm not a biologist, but I think that is 3 good karmas for you. How you doing, Rosie? Good to see you. Spambot says, if the NDP want seats, they have to vote down the budget. Even NDP voters are seeing how bad the Liberal budget is. Now, I think they would absolutely gain at least a few more seats. I think they'll probably get back to official party status again, actually. And, will they? I mean, it's the NDP. I know that I think Don Davies, even though, I don't like any of it, any NDP. I don't like any of them, but he's 1,000 times better than Jugmeat was. Rosie says Jacques, pronounced Jakes. So the Jason Jakes. Yeah, I thought it was Jacques at first too, but it actually is pronounced Jakes. So I guess English, English from the French. That happens to names over time. Let's see. Did you finally change your info at? Yeah, no, I'm just not on there. I'm actually going to shut it down. I think, to be honest, because it's just a waste of money at this point. Let's see. Rosie says, Richie, my suspended X account said I manipulated the platform and spammed. Now I can solely read and forward. I saw this actually in the DMs, which I thought was really funny. Now I can solely read and forward and bookmark, except I can DM you. Now X lets me spam only you. So they thought that you were spamming me, and then they shut you down, except you can only do the one thing they thought you were doing. Very weird, but it works out perfectly, actually. I don't have to join another platform now to get suggestions. All right. What's that link, Spambot? What is that link? All right, we'll check it out. We're just getting started, but we'll check it out. Hold on. All right. Let's see what Spambot has sent us. Page doesn't exist. Page does not exist. So, yeah. So that's not going to work. Yeah. So that link doesn't work, Spambot. So, yeah. Let's see. Rosie says, send a shout out to Mickey. She's in Mexico. Shout out to Mickey. Hey, Mickey. She DM'd me on X. She says she's had a serious accident. Oh, God. We'll be back soon, she hopes. Well, I hope. I know everybody here wishes her the best and to get well soon. So, yikes. Don't like to hear about that. All right. Let's get started on the news. All right. So I'm sure you guys heard about this. So from Fox News here, Capitol chaos, protests over corruption erupted into violence in Mexico City, leaving more than 100 officers injured. The unrest follows the assassination of a mayor who accused the president of failing to crack down on cartels. So we're going to get into that because there's a lot of those assassinations that happen there, and we are going to get into it. But let's take a look at this first. So they set up these barricades, and they're trying to tear them down. This was all happening yesterday, by the way. So let's take a quick look here. So more than 100 officers injured as protesters attack police, breach barrier at Mexico's National Palace. Demonstration follows assassination of Mayor Carlos Manzo, who criticized President Sheinbaum's cartel policies. Thousands of protesters swarmed Mexico City Saturday, attacking police officers and attempting to breach a security barrier around the National Palace, which houses the federal government's executive branch. Plumes of tear gas filled the street as hooded protesters dragged riot police out of formation, beat them with hammers and chains, and threw explosive devices at them as they were stripped of their shields and communication radios. Let's see. So at least 60 police officers had minor injuries. 40 officers were taken to hospitals. As of Saturday night, 20 people were detained. 20 others were referred for administrative offenses. The anti-government march, which became violent at Zocalo Square, was organized by members of Gen Z, those born between the late 90s and early 2010s. Protesters told the Associated Press they were rallying against corruption and safety concerns. The Secretariat of Citizen Security noted Mexico City police only carried out containment work and did not repress protesters or respond to the provocations. Well, we're going to take a look at some of the video of all of this. Some of it's pretty extreme, actually. Arisbeth Garcia, a 43-year-old physician, told the outlet she was marching for increased security and adding funding for the public health system. Quote, doctors are also exposed to the insecurity gripping the country where you can be murdered and nothing happens. So I think it's pretty well documented that for decades now, Mexico has been essentially a parallel government. So you have, the official government with the president and all the legislature, and then you have the narco state. And the two have been deeply intertwined. But it seems under Gloria Sheinbaum, the president of this newest president of Mexico, it's been much worse. And of course, she's a socialist, right? And socialists and criminals, they seem to get along fairly well. The state is dying, Avila said. He was killed because he was a man who was sending officers into the mountains to fight delinquents. He had the guts to confront them. Manzo was shot 7 times after condemning Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum for her alleged lack of effort in combating cartels. We need greater determination from the president of Mexico, Manzo told local media in September. I do not want to be just another mayor on the list of those who have been executed and had their lives taken away from them. I am very afraid, but I must face it with courage. And he was assassinated. And it's just endemic in Mexico. And let's take a look. While the number of Mexican politicians assassinated by cartels is extensive, a comprehensive and definitive list is nearly impossible to create due to a lack of precise data and reporting. But there's a lot of them. For example, a security consultancy recorded 37 candidates assassinated during the 2024 election season. 37. That's one election season, while the Mexican president officially acknowledged only 6. You start to see why the people are getting really angry. So 37 candidates assassinated, but the Mexican president only acknowledges 6. So you've got, you got 37 candidates dying, assassinated, but she only recognizes 6. So what? So what the other 30 The other 31 like fell off their balcony by accident or slipped on a puddle or something. You can see why they're getting angry. Let's just go through the 2025 assassinations. Carlos Manzo Rodriguez, mayor of Uruapan, and let's see, here's another mayor here, secretary of the municipal government. You could just see Martha Laura, another mayor. Look at these. That's just 1 year. That's just 1 year. And that's not all of them. That's just some of them. The president acknowledging 6. If it were 6 politicians that were assassinated during a Canadian election or an American election or like a British election or Australia or anywhere, like people would be outraged. People would go, what the hell is going wrong? People would demand something be done about this because it's insane. That's if it was just 6. Get 37. So, yeah, it's total madness. Let's take a look. You understand why people are angry. I mean, you can't have a real political process when your politicians keep getting assassinated. Let's see. Wall Street Apes says the Mexico City protests are happening because their president, Claudia Sheinbaum, works for the cartel. Let's take a look at this.
The president of Mexico is furious. She's calling Mexican Senator Lily Tellez a traitor for coming on Fox Noticias with me a few days ago and saying this. Listen.
The help from the United States to fight the cartels in Mexico is absolutely welcome, and that is how the majority of Mexicans feel. The only ones who don't like that President Trump is sending help and trying to support Mexicans against the cartels are the narco politicians. That includes President Sheinbaum.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum responding, saying, quote, it's...
So she has rejected help from Trump. Right, so there's another reason why people might be angry. From Alex Jones here, Mexico is exploding. Let's take a look at this. By the way, NBC reported this as mostly peaceful. By the way, I guess old habits are hard to break, huh?
Get it!
This can happen anywhere, by the way. Expect to see some of this in Europe, maybe in the next decade. Let's see. When people's concerns are ignored, eventually it's going to happen if you ignore it long enough. And people angry over the leftist government's corruption and tolerance of cartel crime are trying to get to the National Palace. Let's see. President Sheinbaum is blaming right-wingers for the protests against our government. Of course, that's what she's going to do. Of course, that's what she's going to do. She's a lefty. She's a leftist. Yeah, I don't think it would be correct to call this, even left versus right. This is more just the state is unbelievably messed up. Fed up Mexicans are storming the National Palace. Okay, they're calling Sheinbaum a narco president, bought off by the cartels. You can see it's more of the same there. Yeah, here's from the 14th, 2 days ago. In a brazen display of hypocrisy, the Mexican government under President Claudia Sheinbaum has thrown up a towering metal barricade around the National Palace. Yeah, but they're not four walls, though, right? Except to protect them. It's the same everywhere. Leftists, they're against walls unless, it's like their gated community or something. Then they're all for them. All right. Look at this. Pretty crazy. Now, I've been looking for updates on this today. There doesn't seem to have been much that happened today. Let's see. All right. Let's go back to the chat for a second. Okay. What are you guys saying? Let's see. Let's see. All right, we got another link here. All right, hold on a second. We'll check it out quickly. I don't know what it is. Oh, here we go. Okay, great. Okay, good. Mark Carney called a communist at the Grey Cup in Winnipeg. All right, let's check it out. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Carney! Hey, you fucking call me, hey? Carney!
I have to say, there's just something that feels so Canadian about that. And just like, that's our prime minister, and that's the look on his face, and it's just like a couple of hosers. Hey, Carney! It's pretty funny. Now, I'm generally not really a big fan of like shouting things at politicians in public because they just use it for themselves, right? And like the media will pick it up. I'm sure the CBC's already run 3 hours on it, and now this requires new lockdowns or something and censorship bills. But I mean, it's pretty funny. It is pretty funny. Should we do it one more time? Let's do it one more time.
Carney! Hey, you fucking call me, hey? Carney!
Hey, you fucking call me, eh? Oh, that's funny. Okay, that's pretty funny. Let's see. Hold on. Spambot says, scrap that. Spambot says, CSIS is scrubbing every repost of it. That must be why we've got 0 viewers on YouTube right now. So that must be why. Oh, man. Let's see. What's this one? Let's check this one out then. Okay. And then we're gonna check one more out. And then we're gonna cool it on the links for a little while because we gotta get to the news. I promised Princess Baloney I'd keep it to 2 hours tonight. You know how difficult that is for me. Oh, no, it's the same one. All right, it's the same one. All right, we're good. Okay. Let's get a bit more chat, and then we'll get moving on with the stories. That was funny. Thank you, Spambot. I wanted to see that. Macross says supposedly close to 50% of Mexico want Trump to bomb the F out of the cartels. I haven't seen the poll, but I mean, I would believe it. Let's see. Macross says Fed. Are you talking about Fuentes there? Rosie says a failed July 20, 1944 assassination attempt on Hitler led to the destruction of 5,000 military officers, suicide or execution, per Larry Loftus' book, The Princess Bride. Yeah, what's his name? The Desert Fox. He got caught up in that too. He had to commit suicide. So that was von. Oh God, what was his name? I used to know all this stuff. What's wrong with my brain? It was like he was like a German nobility and an officer. What the hell was his name? I can't remember. You guys will have to tell me. The guy who took the bomb in and it put it under the table, but it was next to the it was a very big table, heavy legs on it, put it next to the leg, and it exploded and killed a bunch of the people, but didn't get Hitler because of where he was sitting. You guys can tell me what was his name in the chat. I'm sure you guys know. They made a movie about it, Operation Valkyrie, with Tom Cruise. I don't think it was actually a great movie, but yeah, they went crazy after that. Well, they kind of went crazy before that too, I guess. Von Stauffen something. What was his name? It's driving me nuts now. Stefan something. It's driving me. You guys have got to put it in there. All right, let's move on. You guys got to put it in the chat. It's going to drive me nuts. All right. Carney budget. So before we talk about the Carney budget, before anybody ever talks about the Carney budget, they should always play this from Jason Jakes. Always. Let's take a look.
Stupefying, shocking, right? This is not like it's not a
Rosie says Erwin Roll. Yeah, that's the Desert Fox, but I'm talking about the guy who took the bomb into the Wolf Slayer. In 1944, the bomb that almost got Hitler but didn't get him. I'm trying to figure out was it like von Stauffenberg or something like that, or I can't remember. Anyway, we're going to start this over again.
Stupefying, shocking, right? This is not like it's not a funny fiscal outlook.
The public debt charges is 50.
Yeah, not a funny outlook. Not a funny outlook. Hold on. This should be played before like any discussion of the budget ever.
Right? These are, I don't know, I think I used the words in French, and which the translators probably got really well. Like stupefying, shocking, right? This is not like it's not a funny fiscal outlook. It's a really serious fiscal outlook. And we don't lightly use the word unsustainable, right? Unsustainable means you don't have the option of saying, maybe I'll wait a couple of years, I'll see how things go. It means if you don't change, this is done, right? So
that's the parliamentary budget officer. That's a couple of months ago. In the lead up to, or I guess that was September. So in the lead up to the release of the budget. So this was like a warning, right? Like the budget better be good. And spoiler alert, it's not. It is not. I watched this whole interview with Jason Jacques, interim parliamentary budget officer. Well, we're not going to watch the whole thing because it's 7 minutes long, but we'll watch some parts of it. Let's take a look.
Into tomorrow's high-stakes confidence.
Truly, I'll make it bigger.
Into tomorrow's high-stakes confidence vote in the House, MPs will be armed with new information. Parliament's fiscal watchdog has dug into the Prime Minister's first budget, and two major findings stand out. First, the PBO says it is unlikely that the government's stated fiscal anchor or declining deficit to GDP ratio will be respected. Second, the PBO maintains its view that the government's definition of capital investments is overly expansive. Jason Jacques is the interim parliamentary budget officer. Hi, Mr. Jacques. Good to welcome you back. Thank you very much for making the time.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
I wanted to start off on the second point. What is it that you see as overly expansive, and how impactful is it that it is?
From our perspective, we think that the definition the government's used around capital investments is overly expansive. And in particular, they've thrown some things in there, some categories of spending, which other jurisdictions in other countries would not typically include. Most notably, the inspiration, of course, for this framework comes from the United Kingdom. And in the case of the UK, it's a far narrower definition. And of course, the biggest risk with all of this is if you're not spending on productive capital investments, if you have an overly broad definition, then you're not going to get the investment impact and the growth in the economy that the government expects.
What about fiscal anchors? That's what we spoke about the last time you were here.
So, yeah, I mean, in that last part there, talking about how they're hiding money from the operational budget. So the Carney government is pulling this parlor trick now where they've split the budget into two parts. One, the operational budget, which they're pretending is just the budget now. But then there's this huge other part, which they're calling capital investment. Investments, all the things that are supposed to bring a return for the country. Not really that, though, but that's what they're calling it. It'll bring a return for the companies that are subsidized, the green boondoggle companies that are subsidized by Carney and other companies that he's connected to in some way. But the point being that they're hiding a bunch of money in that's actually the operational budget. And it's to trick Canadians into thinking that the budget is balanced. That's what he's talking about there.
We're really tracking this very closely. They've obviously changed from what they promised would be the fiscal anchor, debt to GDP, and the platform to deficit to GDP. What do you see there?
Certainly, in the case of the deficit to GDP, it should come as no surprise that I agree with not the new government, but the previous government that indicated that the debt to GDP ratio is the most important medium-term indicator of fiscal sustainability and essential for securing Canada's AAA credit rating. The government has cut that anchor, so that is no longer part of the suite of fiscal anchors the government is using. And it's certainly not our place to judge which fiscal anchors the government uses. At the same time, the way in which the government went about this was certainly not transparent. So we've had this fiscal anchor for over 30 years. Other jurisdictions look at the debt to GDP anchor and a declining level of debt to GDP as being the mainstay of fiscal anchors. It's something that the Liberal Party of Canada campaigned on in 2025 in April. It was in their platform. And without any discussion whatsoever, this fiscal anchor was eliminated.
And what about if you did
So basically, they've just made it so that there's no meaningful fiscal answer. They just made it so that there's no meaningful fiscal anchor. So really, there's no real way to hold them to account. Or there's no meaningful way to hold the government to account, right? It's just so that Carney can raid the country with this massive deficit and continue the massive deficits and pretend that he's doing something other than just simply pursuing his own goals as opposed to the goals of the country.
Apply that calculation? Like, where do you see debt to GDP? Because you had identified that in the lead up to the budget as, one of the primary things informing your position at the time, which was very controversial, that things were unsustainable fiscally, that we were looking over a fiscal cliff. So where is debt to GDP going, and why do you conclude in this that things are still sustainable?
So in the case of debt to GDP, over the medium term and over the longer term, debt to GDP is effectively going to be flat. So we no longer have a declining debt to GDP ratio. Based upon our calculations, there's very limited. There's a limited margin for error based upon the government's fiscal agenda at this point, and of course,
limited margin for error. What this means is that we have no room to absorb any economic shocks that are coming. We already didn't, right? Because with left-wing governments, they can't see they can't see any further than their own shadow or the next election, and they'll just blow everything. They will just max out the national credit card, extract every bit of wealth to buy votes. That's it. They are going to borrow and borrow and borrow to buy votes with never a thought to tomorrow. That's what you got. That's what you got with Justin Trudeau, and that's what we're getting with Mark Carney. So it's easy to see why they want to get rid of this guy. Why Carney wants to get rid of this guy. Obviously, they want to take him from being interim to former. So let's keep going here. So here's Pierre Poilievre talking about the budget from an oil exec. Let's see.
That Carney's costly credit card budget doubles the deficits Justin Trudeau left behind.
So how does Jason Jacques, the parliamentary budget officer's assessment?
Yeah. Hold on a second. What are they saying? What are these guys saying? Hold on a second. Okay. Hold on. Let's see what these guys are saying.
Brenda Grover was a federal Liberal candidate in the 2021 election. She's now a senior advisor at North Star Public Affairs. Melanie Paradis is the former communications director to Aaron O'Toole. She's now the president of Texture Communications. And former interim NDP national director Carl Boulanger is with us here. He's now the president of Traction Strategies. Thank you. Welcome to you all on this Friday. Now, Sabrina, it may not have a direct impact on Monday's confidence motion on the budget, but how do you think that this PBO report affects the Prime Minister's standing as a fiscal manager?
I mean, I think there's always, or historically over the last several years, there has been a tension between the PBO and between Parliament. And I think when perhaps Justin Trudeau was leading the country, perhaps you might be more inclined to believe the PBO's assessment or be more inclined to see from the PBO's perspective where they are leaning towards. But I think with Mark Carney's
leadership, is it because he said he didn't think much about monetary policy?
Understanding.
Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Mark Carney
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Canadians don't necessarily believe that.
Well, let's see. Mark Carney was advising Justin Trudeau, economic advisor, since 2020. And as we all know, that Justin Trudeau was a drama teacher who knew nothing about anything. Probably he didn't even know anything about drama, right? Just got that job because of his name. So, and when you take a look, if you read Mark Carney's book, just read the first couple chapters of his book. You'll see you will start to recognize that, or you will come to the realization very quickly that, oh, so Justin Trudeau was just doing what this guy said. It's obvious that Mark Carney was a mentor to Trudeau. I don't know, but he was the one calling the shots. Trudeau was going on Mark Carney's advice. His fingerprints are all over everything that Trudeau did since 2020, right? So, will Liberal voters, do Liberal voters know that? Probably not. Probably the vast majority of them have no idea. But it is just a continuation. And I said during the election, this will be Turbo Trudeau, because what we really had during the Trudeau years was Carney economics. So now Carney gets to run the whole show himself. So it's not just Trudeau, it's Turbo Trudeau. And really it's Turbo Carney.
And I think what the other problem is like, you know, we have seen Pierre Poilievre come out and criticize that. We saw that clip that you just played, but Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives haven't put forward a better fiscal plan. And there's very little that they
don't put together the budget. And do they have? Yes, they do. They just have that old pragmatic plan, you know, the stuff that works, right? That's what they want to do. In a lot of ways, just boilerplate conservative economics, right? That is proven to work. But also, they don't put together the budget, right? So, in any case, you can only deal with the Carney budget because that's the only budget that we have. Hold on a second. Let's go a little further here. I want to hear what she has to say.
Going to figure out if it's balanced or not, because they've made it so complicated that the PBOs had to come out and say, like, basically this is creative accounting, and they've expanded the definition of what is a capital investment so broadly that it doesn't meet international standards at all. And they're really burying operating costs, program costs under the capital category, which again, like, makes it impossible to determine whether it is actually going to be balanced. And so the PBO is saying that, like, based on our definition, it's not going to be balanced, that the commitment that Carney made, that many Canadians voted for thinking they were going to get change from Justin Trudeau, they put their faith in Carney because of his fiscal background. And instead, they're not going to get the balanced budget that they were promised. And in fact, the PBO was essentially saying that what's set out in this budget barely meets the minimum standard for long-term sustainability. There's actually less fiscal room now. There's weaker resilience within the Canadian economy than the final 3 years of the Trudeau government. And that none of that is what Canadians voted for with what they thought they were going to get with Mark Carney. And so I think Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives have a really great opportunity to keep pointing that out.
So, yeah, I mean, she's stating the obvious things that everybody's saying about the budget here. I wonder for, like, this Liberal here to just keep to being trotted out and just keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. This time it's going to work. It's the same as the last 9 budgets, except that this one's even worse. But this time it's going to work. I mean, it must be soul destroying to just have to keep getting up there and lying. I mean, they must know that they're lying, but at this point, right? Let's go down here. So CTV reveals the Carney Liberals' budget. CTV reveals the Carney Liberal budget's dangerous flaws after it fails to meet its own critical fiscal targets. This isn't the austerity budget we were promised. So didn't get an austerity budget from the Liberals? What?
But I should point out, too, like, this government also wants to start reducing the deficit to GDP ratio starting next year. Once again, if its operational budget numbers are off by $100 billion, it's not going to bring down those numbers, Mike.
And those fiscal anchors were really at the heart of what some of the PBO was saying, and it could fall short of their goals, right?
That's right. And that,
it's bad when, like, the CV, it's bad when CTV is talking about it, right? It's bad when CTV is calling it out. When you've got the actual, liberal, subsidized media calling it out, that it's not good. All right, so let's and actually we'll go back to the chat for a second. All right. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Oh, I have to figure out the name of that general. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Did I say von Stuffen something? Hold on. Who was the German general? Oh, give me 1 second, you guys. German general who to assassinate, tried to kill Hitler. Von Stauffenberg. Klaus von Stauffenberg. So I was right. Von Stauffenberg. Ha! I knew it. I knew I wasn't losing my mind. All right. Let's see. What else we got? Spambot says the views to like ratio isn't very good. Everybody like the stream right now. Get your free good karma right now. Everybody do it. Go ahead and get that free good karma right now. All right. La la la. All right. Rosie says I put General's name in chat, but you had it wrong though. You had it wrong. I had it right. I was correct. It was not Heinrich von Stuppnagel. It was Klaus von Stauffenberg. So now everybody's been educated. So because I read World War II books. All right, but close though, very close, very close. Canuck Six Stringer, how you doing? Lucky number 7. Why, that's like 1.5 good karmas. Wow, that's good. You're going to have a good time. You can sleep soundly tonight knowing you've got that 1.5 good karmas in your back pocket. Now we do, I think it's now's the time that we read the ad. Yes, we do. We're going to do it. Our favorite ad of all time. Everybody loves this ad. Are you ready? Let's be clear. Cryptocurrency is no longer emerging. It's here. And this latest move cements that reality in the biggest way yet. Trump Media Group just inked a massive $6.4 billion deal with Crypto.com, the world's top crypto platform. They're teaming up to scoop up $6.4 billion in CRO, the powerhouse token that fuels fast, low-fee DeFi, staking rewards, and real-world perks like cash back on your spends to launch America's first CRO treasury. When it's done, this new company will be the biggest CRO holder out there. Want in on the action? Head to Crypto.com. That's Crypto.com today and grab some CRO. Let's make crypto great again, people. Beautiful, beautiful ad. I'm not sure I understand what any of it means, but I like it. I like the way it rolls off my tongue. It's a beautiful ad, my favorite ad. And I know everybody out there loves it too. I know you guys love it as well. And you shall never forget Crypto.com. You'll tell your grandchildren about Crypto.com. It's that important. Let's see. Izzy says crypto, that's not coffee. It's not, but maybe it is. Not coffee, no commie, boo. Well, there's certain ones that I have to stick with the script. And that one, I wouldn't change the script. I wouldn't improvise on the script on that one because it's perfectly written. It's the most perfect script, most beautiful script. Everybody knows that. I wouldn't dare to mess with that one. I love it. They must have upped the pay on a crypto ad. Well, I did put away a cool $1.08 on that one, my friend. Rosie says, ad read 10 out of 10. No commie, 0 out of 10. Is 0 the most you can get out of 10? I think it is. Macross says 0 out of 10. Commie hate, come on. It's still pretty good. That's the most you can get out of 10, right? As he says, still not coffee. There might be a little coffee ad coming up a little later on the stream if everybody hangs around. So if you hang around, you might get a little coffee ad. That's all I'm saying. No promises, but maybe. So now what the hell are we doing? Well, the budget, the Carney budget is being voted on tomorrow. And if it is, so the Carney budget is going to be voted on tomorrow. And if everybody rejects the budget, we got an election coming up real quick. Now, I don't think that will happen. I think the NDP will support it, or a few will abstain, and the Liberals will end up passing their really, quite frankly, appalling budget. But you never know. I think the NDP would be smart to want an election right now. I don't think there's anywhere to go but up for them. Maybe even back to official party status again. But let's hear from this. So who's this here? All right, it doesn't tell us, but let's take a look.
Vote is set for tomorrow. The Conservatives and Bloc have said they will vote against it. That leaves the NDP. So do you think the Liberals have done enough to get other parties on board here?
I think a week or so ago, I would have said yes, but I'm not sure now. Part of the reason is that the NDP might feel they have nothing to lose. They did very poorly in the last election. They might risk everything and see if they can get a little bit of a room here to expand the party in a snap surprise election.
Vote is set for tomorrow. The Conservatives and Bloc have said they will vote.
Fuck. God damn it. I was just ranting and for nothing because I had to cough and I forgot to unblock it. So it looks like it's been dead air for a while. Going back. Oh, God damn it. All right. So if you want to see the state of Canada now, so now we're going to talk about Canadian crime, and that's not a happy story. Alexandra Lavoie from Rebel News posted this. She says, this is what Canada's justice system has come to. The attacker was found not criminally responsible in September and held in a psychiatric hospital until his release on Friday. So now we're supposed to believe he's safe for the public. Well, I guess in new Canada, in new liberal, woke, progressive Canada, just attacking a Jewish father who's walking down the street with his daughter is no big deal anymore, because I guess Palestine or something, river to the sea. This is Carney's new voter base here. They're not worried about the Jewish vote anymore. They've got these guys. There's more of them. So let's take a look here at what just doesn't seem to matter anymore in Canada. So apparently this was unprovoked, as you can imagine, just the guy walking down the street with his daughter. And this is what Canada has come to. We have a media that's very concerned with hate and bigotry, but only one kind. They don't comment very much. They're only concerned about the kind that you don't really ever see. Doesn't really exist very much in Canada. The kind that doesn't form mobs and scream, death to Canada, death to Israel, death to the United States. That apparently that's not hate. Screaming genocidal slogans. That's not the hate that they're worried about, or even hate at all, I guess. They seem to be just fine with it. All of those virtue signaling teleprompter readers and leftist politicians, what do they have to say about this? Nothing, because this is not the correct narrative. Not the correct narrative. It's not the narrative that they want. Yeah, that's in Montreal. And this isn't, the guy who did this isn't like Brad Smith. I'll just say his name isn't like Brad Smith, right? Looks like one of the new Canadians that Trudeau and Carney are so desperate to bring to Canada. Yeah, so this is the state of things. No outrage from the media. No. They found there was a couple of neo-Nazis apparently at a gym somewhere, right? That's what the CBC has to spend an hour on. That nobody had ever heard of and haven't done anything, and maybe they're not even that really anyway, right? Maybe it's just to distract. I don't know. But this is Canada now. This is Canada. And it's disgraceful. How about this? Lawyers in British Columbia are now getting extortion threats. Thanks, Trudeau. That shows you how far this has spread. He says, this is Harman Bangu. I am Sikh. I know the community. I hear the fear from families and business owners. And I also know that some of these criminal networks are coming from India and setting up here because past Liberal governments failed to keep them out. Business owners have been hit. Families have been hit. Now lawyers are being targeted. The threat is not on the margins anymore. It's in plain view now. And people want to know who is actually going to deal with it. So, from Sam Cooper here, looks like a new leg in the matter of transnational mafias overrunning British Columbia, BC extortion. So it's lawyers that are getting extorted now. It's restaurant owners, anybody with a successful business, actually, or any money. So what Canada used to have a pretty successful immigration system. And it was a point system. So, this is a way of ensuring that people could come here and that they would fit in and they weren't criminals and they'd be able to assimilate and, again, start businesses, that sort of thing. Be net contributors. Trudeau threw all that out the window. Just everybody come. Everybody, just millions. They stopped doing background checks and criminal checks on them. Just everybody in. And, of course, when you have that, you're going to have lots of people that are, say, criminals. And gang members are going to see opportunity, and they're going to come out because they just see it as easy money from a weak country. And they were right. So, I mean, it's really gotten to the point now where the liberal voters ignore this stuff at everybody's peril. From November 12th, at the start of the news conference, hold on. From CBC Watcher. Well, let's just hear this. So this is about a home invasion in York. This is about a home invasion, York Regional Police Chief Jim McSween. So, and there was a homicide involved in this home invasion. Let's take a look. This gives you a good idea of the state of Canada and our leadership.
Let me say this. York Regional Police remains committed to keeping our community safe. Our officers continue to work around the clock to find justice for victims of crime and to prevent future crime from impacting the residents of our region. As you'll hear in a moment, those we've arrested in this case were out on a release order or probation, which once again highlights why police chiefs across the country, myself included, remain adamant that changes need to be made to the system. I'm incredibly disappointed that dangerous criminals are continuously released back into the community, only to reoffend and re-victimize the public. What's also extremely concerning is that a 16-year-old youth is wanted in connection with this incident. We're seeing the perpetrators become increasingly younger, while the severity of these crimes continue to escalate. We need changes that prevent violent offenders from returning to the streets only to reoffend again, and harsher penalties to deter criminals from committing these atrocious acts in the first place. Last month, the federal government announced legislation that would see reforms to the current bail system. We are encouraged by this step forward and will continue to advocate for a system that prioritizes public safety and keeps dangerous criminals where they belong.
Yeah, but as long as you've got a bunch of activist judges, it doesn't matter if you say, well, the burden's not on the prosecutor to prove the person is a danger. Now it's on the perpetrator to or the accused to prove that they're not. None of this matters when you've got a bunch of activist judges. None of it matters. It's not going to make any difference whatsoever. It's just amazing. It's amazing that we ended up with a fourth term of this. I'm still shocked. All right, let's move on. Wealth Moose posted this. Wow, Canada just fast-tracked 7 major projects on November 13th, 2025, like they were born yesterday. Let's see, spoiler. Sisson Mine first pitch, January 2013. You can see here the dates for the different projects. None of these are new things from Carney. It's just, warmed over stuff that people who aren't paying attention will see on CBC and go, oh, looks like he's doing a really good job. When in fact, it's really nothing. Nothing is happening. And it's certainly not going to be enough to turn Canada around. Let's see. What else we got here? Do we need to watch this? Let's check this out quickly. From Mark Nixon, breaking, Carney scandal blows open. Carney's 12 projects of national interest, all low risk and zero need for Bill C-5. Let's take a look. Everything from Carney is just lies or half-truths. Everything is manipulation.
James, I think what's also interesting, though, is that, to my knowledge, at least at this point, none of these 10 or so or 11 projects actually requires them to be declared as in the national interest with C5, meaning it doesn't require the government to subvert an existing law, be it environmental or otherwise, in order to move forward with it, which is less risk politically than stuff that would require C5, which says something, I think.
We all read a lot of the polls. Mark Carney has a leadership advantage over Pierre Poilievre right now. His party seems to be in sturdy shape and continuing its broad level of support from the last campaign, even though the top line numbers relative to the Conservatives are tight. Still waiting for him to risk some of his political capital. still waiting for him to show that he's really going to take some risks in the national interest. I mean, we were told that the first list of 5 projects was a start, and we knew that some of the projects were going to be already kind of half baked, and they were already kind of in the process of being completed. So kind of don't worry about it. Wait for the second tranche. Well, and the second tranche will maybe bring a little bit more drama. I hope the Grey Cup has a little bit more drama than the Grey Cup list that we saw today, because it was a little bit, frankly, disappointing for those of us who are looking for a prime minister to risk some political capital in exchange for advancing the national interest. The LNG project, for example, in British Columbia, as I understand the details, the federal government announced that they're loaning $140 million from the infrastructure bank to BC Hydro to complete the project is like $8 to $10 billion. This is like a 2% funding announcement. Good, but hardly something that is, going to have Donald Trump anxious that they're going to lose Canada as an economic pillar and have us massively exploiting global markets. So, look, it was.
Yeah, look, Carney's game is, and it's always been all along, his game has been to borrow tens of billions of dollars to funnel into his pet projects, into the green boondoggles that can't exist without subsidies, without Carney subsidies. That's been his game all along. That's what he's doing. The rest of it's all just show. It's just cheap parlor tricks, cheap accounting tricks. That's what's going to happen. We've been saying it all along. Just watch. That's exactly what's going to happen. Let's see. All right. Before we get to that, let's go let's go right here. So let's see. I'll go back in the chat to after where I obviously had no sound on. All right. Spambot says you were muted over the entire previous clip. Oh well, it happens sometimes. It's because of my brain. Because of my brain is why. Let's see. It's my soundboard, Canuck 6 Trigger. It's my soundboard. It's not on the mic. It's my soundboard, but I just forget to repress it sometimes. Union response clip earlier? I don't know. We're not going back. We've come too far. We can't go back now. Let's see. All right. Let's see. What else do we got? JJ Nevada makes a great point. All I want is some good old-fashioned commie hate. Let's work on it. Let's all work on it together and supply JJ Nevada with some good old-fashioned commie hate.
And that's nothing but pure and simple old-fashioned communism.
We'll all work on it together. Let's see. Well, it looks like you guys are in favor of corporal punishment or capital punishment for crimes. I think I've come around. I was, for like the most serious crimes, I was always no, I don't trust the government, because, how would he, if you had capital punishment in Canada, you probably would have tried to, get like Tamara Leach, Chris Barber. I mean, these people are tyrants, but, I've come around to the point where there's just some crimes where it's just, I think just for national catharsis after certain crimes is probably worth it. And just justice. My opposition has always just been on the point of I don't trust politicians. Right? I don't trust governments, and it just seems like too much power to hand them. But I don't know. I think I'm coming around on it. McCross says the point is that as cops aren't there to take care of people robbing and invading people's rights to life, safety, and property, criminals are going to face the business end of a shotgun. Well, I think Canada needs a 2A, quite frankly. What's happening now is that they're just taking away legally owned guns from legal gun owners who don't commit crimes. That's their solution to criminals using illegal guns to commit crimes, which is an idiotic but totally typical kind of leftist response to a problem. Make it worse. Punish law-abiding people, right? So that the criminals don't get hurt. Yeah, we need to have a total rehaul of these laws. Even just self-defense in the home. We need like a castle law doctrine. Somebody breaks into your house in the middle of the night, and it should be that just whatever happens, happens. Right? And I will concede to the bleeding hearts that if a baby breaks into your house in the middle of the night, okay, that's different, right? That's different. But if it's just, a typical adult, like drug addict, criminal, whatever, yeah, I feel like they should be leaving their rights at the door or the window, or whatever they climbed in through. And you shouldn't have done that. Those should be the rules, in my opinion. And I think, obviously, you should be able to use a firearm in that case, too. Let's see. McCross says, not a problem in the States. Well, not all of the states. I don't think, I think in New Jersey, you're going to end up going to prison if you, they don't have castle law. I think in New Jersey, there's a bunch of states where you're going to have a serious problem defending yourself in your own home. Let's see. What else do we got? So we did this. Yeah, we did this. We did that. Did we do this? So at the university in Kamloops, we saw some video from this on the Friday stream. And here's Dallas Brody, leader of 1BC party, conservative party in British Columbia. And her and others like Francis Widdowson and Jim McMurtry are going. They're going to campuses to talk to students who have been brainwashed, essentially, and have conversations and try to just give some facts. And you'll see through this conversation how difficult it is. And this is a very important issue right now, by the way, because I think what we can call now the residential school grave hoax. And we can call it a hoax now because it seems a total refusal to actually do any digs to see if there are any bodies there. So I'm comfortable just saying hoax, or maybe deception, if you like. But with the land claims going on and the amount of money that is being given to Indigenous tribes in Canada, this is relevant. It's a years-long deception on the public, and it's being used for leverage. It's being used as leverage against the Canadian people. So, yeah, truth needs. If you're going to have truth and reconciliation, truth has to be a part of it. But as you will hear in this conversation, and it's infuriating, not interested in truth.
I have a big heart for Indigenous people.
So why are you denying it?
I'm not.
There's
saying,
a billion stories of the children.
Can you back up just a little bit?
No, I can't. You're the one here spewing hate.
Oh no, I'm not spewing any hate.
Lies.
I'm not.
See, it's all the boilerplate leftist stuff. You're spewing hate. Well, and you'll hear all the rest of it, right? None of it's an argument. It's just a personal attack. It's an emotional attack.
Spewing any hate.
You are.
No.
Yes, you
Jim,
are.
truth is not hate. Truth is really good for all of us.
Know where their money is
Learn to read a book.
Oh, I read a lot. But the thing is, the truth is.
Have you actually talked to real First Nations people who went to residential school?
Yes.
Who?
They're in our documentary that's coming out.
And what did they say?
Keep in mind, this can all be settled with a dig. But there's a reason why everything is deflected away from that, and why the argument has now gone to, well, you're weird if you want to dig. Why are you obsessed with bodies? Well, we know why, right?
That it never happened, that they weren't beaten and killed?
Did you go to work?
No, my grandma did. My grandpa did. My auntie, my uncle, my cousins. And my grandparents are still alive.
Okay. But we're talking about today. the 215 bodies, okay? And this has become, the problem is, it's
You're also talking about the past with the 215.
no, but do you understand it? Do you know that there's 215 bodies there?
Yeah, I do.
Do you? How?
Because my grandpa went to that school and he witnessed children dying there.
So how do you know that there are 215 bodies?
So how do you know that there's
But seriously,
not?
let's answer that first.
Again, how do you know there's 215 bodies there? How do you know that there's not? Well, this could all be solved. Do a dig. The tribe was given over $12 million to do a dig. It hasn't happened. We know why. We know why it hasn't happened.
Just told you, real lived experience.
Okay, but why did
written stories from my own grandparents?
But why did the band ask for money to dig? They received $12.1 million to dig,
And
they didn't dig.
Because digging up your ancestors is
But they
wrong.
shouldn't have taken the money then.
And it's unhumane.
They shouldn't have taken the money then.
They deserve that money.
But it was for digging. They've gotten
It doesn't matter. They fucking deserve that money. Everything our people went through, they should get more than $12.5 million fucking dollars.
Okay.
So none of this makes any sense. It's a result of being in an ideological bubble and a culture, especially in academia, of just, well, this is your identity, so you're right about everything. And anything that you disagree with is harmful and dangerous and harmful to you. It's violence, whatever. You end up with people that are just totally unreasoning, unfortunately. And it's something that's done to people, right? This is done to them intentionally, especially in universities.
That's your view of that? But
It's my view because it's my lived experience.
Yes. And everybody has their lived experience. So,
Cultural fucking genocide.
Pardon me?
Cultural genocide.
Cultural
That's what Canada did with residential schools.
I'm here to talk about the 215 bodies.
You're here to say it's not true.
Yes, I am.
And it is true.
But they haven't done
It happened in all residential schools across Canada.
Even the band is saying it's anomalies.
Go ahead, go on then. Continue with your speech or whatever the fuck you're doing. I want to listen.
See, it's sad. I mean, totally unreachable. I mean, it's sad not just in this context, but just you're leaving people unprepared to deal with life, their own lives and problems in a constructive way. Right? And this is done to people intentionally. All right? It's to turn people into essentially ideological zombies, right? They can be manipulated, they can be pointed in a direction and say, now you're against this, go over there, shout at these people, tell them they're bad people, fascists, Nazis, whatever. And it is genuinely sad, and it hurts everybody, and it hurts the people that are left without the ability to reason their way through life properly. And I think that's a horrible thing to do to somebody, you know? But yeah, I mean, it's so messy and horrible at this point, right? It's just a giant mess. And again, it was all done intentionally. Let's see. Cat Canada. Protester says it's not our place to ask somebody to dig up remains. One BC leader, Dallas Brody, shuts her down by reminding everyone that $12 million was given to the band to dig, but there was no digging. And again, we know why, because everybody knows they're not there.
Please they're not showing us.
Who are you? Associated with Charlie Kirk.
If you say something, back it up.
Who
Okay,
are you
folks,
to
you know
say
what?
that it's untrue
I'm allowed to speak
information?
too. I would love if everyone, again, we're in.
Why did they, this is Canada, why do they have a Bernie Sanders poster? Right? Like obviously I cover US news and stuff, but I'm not going to go take like a Trump poster like down to City Hall. Like I just find it weird. Apparently it's Bernie Sanders campus. Get off my campus. I guess there's no are there bread lines at the campus? If it's Bernie Sanders campus, there must be bread lines there.
Middle of a pathway here. So why don't we just go to the
And it's not your place to ask somebody to dig up remains.
Yes, it is. There is where the $12 billion has been paid for it.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
The reserve is not your taxpayer dollars.
No, $12.1 million was given to the band for digging.
Okay,
And no
folks.
digging was done, so the money needs
You're
to
not
be
welcome
refunded.
here, and your message isn't welcome.
You're not welcome. Well, the $12 billion donation wasn't welcome either then.
You should listen.
You should listen.
How much is the Vatican giving you?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a pleasant.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Nevada says, hey, radio, bring in some commie hate. Well, this is all Marxism, right? So Marxism is oppressed versus oppressor narrative in everything all the time, right? At heart, it's that. Oppressed versus oppressor. And the oppressed is always the good guy, and the oppressor is always the bad guy. And, you know, it can be quite arbitrary too, right? Like, they've decided that Israel is the oppressor and the Palestinians are the oppressed, right? And you know, these are kind of arbitrary judgments, frankly. But once they've identified the oppressor and the oppressed, well, there's no reasoning with them. They don't care, right? This is communism. This is Marxism. This is the result of Marxism right here, right here. Every professor who's responsible for miseducating these people, every one of them will be a Marxist. Every single one will not care about reality, will care about the cause. It's never about the issue. It's always about the revolution. Every single time. And you notice that no matter what the issue is, it's always Marxists running it. Always, every single time. You always hear the same rhetoric out of it, whether it's one of these Palestine things, right? You'll see the hammer and sickles. You'll hear the capitalism, blah, blah, blah. Every single time when it's a gender thing, it's the same thing. With this here too. If you asked any of these people, what do you think of capitalism? You'll hear the same answer from all of them. They don't like it. They don't know why, really. They just don't. It feels wrong. It feels right-wing or something. And they're definitely not that, because right-wingers are bad. They know that. The CBC teleprompters told them that. And certainly their professors told them that.
Well, then let her. Then don't start doing what she's saying.
Exactly right.
She is causing trouble right there.
Causing
Can
trouble?
we not speak our mind without somebody saying that? Let's go over here and have that conversation. She has no right. Let's have
Mount Royal for this kind of stuff?
Is a nationwide embarrassment. It is spreading misinformation to everyone in Canada, and this is not going to happen anymore. We are going to talk about the claim about whether the remains of 215 children have been found at the Kamloops Air Residential School, and they have not been found. That's the situation.
All right, there you go. Just screaming Nazis, genocide denier.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
It is. It is. It's all a bunch of commie gobbledygook. They don't care about reality, right? They don't care what the actual definition of genocide is, right? They don't care if there is one or not. What they care about is the story. And the story says there is, or there was, and there's an ongoing one, and blah, 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 right? That's all they care about. And by the way, a lot of these people wouldn't even be there if they couldn't take a selfie to put on Instagram. Guaranteed. Even the fat ones like this. It's just all madness. We covered this one last time. Oh yeah. Yeah, this kind of puts the lie to the whole diverse voices thing here, the way they treated Drea Humphreys from Rebel News. But we covered that last time. It turns out they don't actually care about that if somebody disagrees with them. Let's see. Let's get back to the chat for a second. What are we, an hour and 30 minutes in already? God damn it. Let's see. Nevada says, bunch of effing retards. Izzy says, victim before human. Yep. Yeah, and that's taught to people, right? They intentionally make people weak. And it's because they're easy to manipulate that way. Let's see. Radio streamer says the concept of a conquered people being rewarded for being conquered is really new in world history. The fact is you were taken over by a technologically superior culture that had the wheel, firearms, medicine, horses, and I would say, look, civilization, right? Civilization. Like, it's a weird place. It's like a weird kind of purgatory to be in. Because on one hand, the pre-colonial Canadian history was very, very set, like very harsh, like constant warfare, headhunting missions, slavery. Slavery was endemic in North America, in Canada, before colonization. It was colonization that ended it. It was a brutal life, and it's no written language. Still Stone Age technology, no metalworking, anything like that. It's not what you could call nations, right? They say First Nations, but it's not really, they weren't really nations in the modern idea of that. I'm not saying that they're bad because of that. Everybody was at that point at some time or other, right? But the civilization that exists now, of which they are part of, and the fruits of which they do enjoy. I mean, when they get sick, they go to a hospital, built by colonists, right? The electricity that they all use came from colonization. The trucks, everything, like all of the comforts, right? Plumbing, right? All of this, not freezing to death. Like this, these are all the fruits of colonization. So at some point, don't you just have to say, well, look, I mean, you're in it and you're enjoying all of these products of it. So there has to be some kind of give and take here, right? It can't just be like what's happening now with these land claims in Canada. I mean, it's just totally insane. You can't give away a province. 95% of British Columbia is what they call unceded. That means 95% of British Columbia is open for these land claims, like what happened in Richmond. Like that can't be allowed to happen. BC would turn into the third world overnight. Property values drop to zero. I'm sorry, this is all lunacy. I mean, colonization can't be all bad. You still use the hospitals. You like the electricity. You like the internet. Right? You like the TVs, you like the trucks, you like the fact that you can free education. You can literally become anything that you want. You can become a physicist if you've got the talent. You could become a doctor. You could become whatever. You're free to. You've got the entire world's knowledge available to you right now. There has to be some value in that, right? It can't be all bad. We can't just say, no, it's all bad. It's like, we know that you like the civilization. Right? It's way better than dying at 35. Like dentists, for instance, right? Nobody would want to go and live in a pre-colonial world. It would suck. It would be awful. Constant warfare. Just at any time your village could be raided and everybody slaughtered or women taken away as slaves. That was life before colonization. So we have to get rid of this weird fantasy that's been sold by all of these, frankly, goddamn communists that have taken over every institution in Canada. They took over academia and then it's gone into everything else. Just this kind of almost absurdly incomplete and naive story. This absurdist, this absurd noble savage myth, which is kind of racist in its own way as well. Just this fantasy world and fantasy history. We're going to have to just come to grips with all this eventually, are we not? How you doing, radio streamer? Radio streamer says her saying they deserve it is just offensive to all of human history. Well, what it shows is that there's no rules or principles or anything, right? It's like, well, the money was for the dig to prove the claim. Well, who cares? They deserve that. It's like, okay, but they weren't given it for that. Well, it doesn't matter. They just deserve it anyway. I mean, it's totally unreasoning. It's a view of the world that is totally without principle or reason. It's just give me. That's it. And that's something that's done. That kind of worldview is something that's done to people. And again, it's very, very unhealthy. That's not the path to happiness. Like a total and utter lack of self-accountability is not good. People don't live good lives like that. All right. I'm going to skip down to the end here. Bristol Tube, how you doing? Let's see. Radio streamer says no one is perfect, but Western culture is superior. That's why all the new inventions that changed the world in the last 400 years or so. Yes, I mean, my personal belief is that Western culture and Western liberal democracy is the peak of human well-being, and it's not even close. That's my belief, and nobody can shake me of that because it's just simply demonstrably true. If you want to look at human well-being. Let's see. Izzy says they can have the land if we take away their cell phones and all. Well, this is my point, right? This is my point. Is that no, they don't want to get rid. They don't want decolonization to be that there's no civilization here anymore. Like we just pick up all the hospitals and float them over to the UK and France, right? They don't want that. They want all of these modern things as well. It's just they see that our leaders are so weak, they might just hand control of it over to them. All right, let's move on. The whole thing is just a giant, ugly mess. So here's Pierre Poilievre, and he met the family of Abbotsford businessman Darshan Sazi, who was murdered 3 weeks ago in front of his home. Speaking at a small business, as Poilievre criticized PM Carney for visiting White Rock Beach without saying a word about extortion, the extortion crisis that's terrifying the business community. So it's any successful person is being extorted now from that group. And this is, we didn't used to have that problem because Canada used to have a very good immigration system. So it was a points-based system. So you had to kind of prove that you could make it in Canada and that you'd be productive. So you had a lot of people coming over and starting up businesses, and becoming all kinds of things, becoming lawyers and stuff. Well, now they're all being extorted by the millions of people. Well, not the millions. Now they're all being extorted because the liberals have let in millions of people that have overwhelmed our immigration services. So they're not getting vetted. They're not even getting criminal background checks. They have no idea who these people are. So when you have a flood of millions of people, you're going to have bad people joining that flood, right? Joining that stampede into the country. And the government has no idea who they are. You're going to get, obviously, criminals and gangsters looking for an easy opportunity in Canada, which is perceived as a weak country with weak laws and weak leaders. So you've got people who came over and made good, and now they're being victimized by the Trudeau and Carney mass immigrate by Trudeau and Carney mass immigration. And let's take a look.
And then Mark Carney came along making big promises. Well, we saw him here the other day in White Rock, and he wouldn't even answer a single question about the extortion crisis that is plaguing our communities. Not one word about the businesses whose families are being shot up, about the assassinations of innocent people, about the terrifying phone calls that all of you are receiving from gangsters and extortionists that Liberals let into this country. Mr. Carney did not have one word. He did give out free donuts, though. So free donuts, and he might even paint the pier. But that doesn't really help you very much if your home is being shot up by extortionists, does it? It doesn't help you much if you can't afford a home at all. It doesn't help you if you can't put food in your stomach. It takes more than a few donuts at a photo op to feed a family. This is utter disrespect from Mark Carney. He should be ashamed, and every Liberal MP in Surrey should be ashamed of his failure to stand up for the safety and affordability of this community.
Yeah, he's 100% right. And Canada needs to, well, I would say Canada needs to go back to its old immigration system, but even that is too much at this point. It just needs to go down to zero for a while, for a long time, just for Canada to absorb the people that we have to keep at this point. There's going to be a lot of people overstaying. I mean, we have no idea how many people are overstaying their temporary worker visas or their student visas. It's more than 5 people. It's a lot. And it's going to take a long time to clean this up and for the country to be able to deal with and absorb the numbers that are already here, that have been rushed in, the mad rush to flood the country with people for liberal globalist purposes. I mean, there's no other explanation for it other than it's just an ideological thing. Let's see. All right, we've seen all this. What do we got next? Yeah, so from Cosmin Dzurza, the Liberal government has revealed that it spent over $7.1 billion in taxpayer dollars on Canada child benefit payments for non-citizens over the last 9 years. Over the last 9 years. Well, let's take a look from Juno News. There he is with his budget. They're very, very happy. Very, very happy. He's about to become even more wealthy than he is. Let's see. In a written response to a question from Conservative MP Brad Viss, the Liberal Finance Minister, Francois-Philippe Champagne, revealed that nearly $7.134 billion in Canada child benefit payments went to people in Canada who were temporary residents, protected persons, or other non-citizens, after excluding permanent residents. So, this is money that's supposed to go to Canadians. $7.1 billion. Why? Why? Why would you do that? I mean, the purpose, Canada's immigration system used to be designed so that you would avoid this. Right? So that you'd be bringing in people that you wouldn't need to give $7.1 billion to them. You know, so they could get food and stuff. That used to be we used to have a smart immigration system. Now we don't. Now we have just, I don't know, just, I guess the motto is just more. Just more. For what reason? Nobody knows. In the first year, over 60,000 non-permanent residents and non-citizens received more than $318 million. Look, why? Why do you need this? Why is this Canada's responsibility? Just because, I guess, empathy or compassion or something? I don't know. Aren't we supposed to be a country? Aren't the people who run a country supposed to be serious-minded? Isn't that what they're elected for? To represent the people who elected them? Isn't that it? Not just, anybody from the world who just makes their way to Canada. Here's a bunch of money. Is that why Canada exists? Does Canada exist just for that? For people to work and pay taxes to just give to people who have absolutely nothing to do with them? Anyway, I wanted to show this from Dan Bongino. So I guess there was this story from the Daily Mail. Kash Patel hired deputy FBI director with no background check, an extraordinary vetting breach. So the second that I saw this, I thought, well, that doesn't make any sense. He was Secret Service. I mean, he certainly had security checks, obviously. I mean, John Michael Roche, U.S. political reporter, does he not know that about Dan Bongino? It doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Anyway, Dan Bongino responded to this, and he said, I'm sincerely sorry for wasting your time on a weekend with nonsensical media fairy tales. And I do realize the act of addressing this puts even more eyes on it. However, I work for you all, the American citizenry, and our nation's top national security issues, and I can't allow false headlines like this to stand. Claiming I was hired with no background check is just a lie. It's a complete fabrication. I held a security clearance while protecting Democrat and Republican presidents for over 10 years. How could you write this article and not know that he was Secret Service, that he protected, like, Hillary Clinton, for instance? And all of the background check requirements for my current position as Deputy Director of the FBI have been met. Those are simple facts. Again, my apologies for wasting your time on this, but I work for you, and you should know the facts. I'm honored to serve in the Trump administration alongside Director Patel as your Deputy Director, and I will continue to hit the gas pedal on crushing violent crime and securing the homeland. God bless America and all those who defend her. So you know that this journalist didn't try to get a response from his office or anything. They just write this stuff. It's kind of, this is an illustration of how far journalism has fallen. It just doesn't really matter anymore. They're not. I think they go through, their Columbia School of Journalism, and they don't really learn how to become journalists. They just learn how to become leftist activists, which is really a shame and a detriment to Western civilization, I would say. All right, what's going on here? So Canada is it's becoming unrecognizable. Casey Babb posted this. This video was filmed outside of Ottawa's Jewish Community Center, which includes a facility to care for seniors with dementia, some of whom are Holocaust survivors. So it's just a Jewish community center. Many red lines have been crossed since October 7th, but this is one I'll never forget. So, to be honest, like with these guys, the cat was out of the bag on October 7th when they were out celebrating the slaughter while the bodies were still warm, and Israel had not even retaliated yet at that point. They were partying and thrilled. I don't know, but was this guy personally out there? I don't know, but people like this were. Lots of them celebrating. There was only one thing they could have been celebrating, right? We all know this. Ottawa's Jewish Community Center. So I guess you can just, stop worrying about saying Zionist because the cat's out of the bag, right? They just mean Jews at this point. This is not I don't like this new Canada where you have people going out and intimidating Jewish community centers. Like, when have Jewish people been gathering into mobs to go out to, like, protest and, like, scream death to, I don't know. When have they been gathering into mobs and going to intimidate, like, Muslim communities or mosques or whatever? Like, they don't. This is the new Canada. I preferred Canada when it didn't have Gaza in it. Canada was much better.
Peace and blessings be upon you all. We are very proud of the presence that we saw here today. We are very proud of the comrades, the brothers and sisters that stood up on both sides of this building to not allow anyone to enter to sign up to the IDF. And I know that you have all heard and you all know.
Why did we need this in Canada? Why? Why is Mark Carney telling us these are Canadian values? It's utter madness. Utter and total madness. What do they say? What are people saying? It's probably a bunch of, let's see. Does Canada not have harassment laws, or at least noise ordinances? Oh, well, they do, just not against these guys. They can do whatever they want. The cops will bring them donuts. That's the new Canada now. I have no idea what he's saying there, but it'll probably be in the national anthem next week. It's just, it just makes me sad at this point. It just makes me sad what's happened to this country. What we did to ourselves. All right. Let's move on from that. Let's go back to the chat for a second. All right. First off, anybody watching on YouTube, please subscribe to my new YouTube channel, Radio Baloney News. All of the U.S. news, world news, meme reviews, all that kind of stuff is going to be over on Radio Baloney News from now on. The channel you're watching right now is just for live streams and Canadian news. I've split it up into 2 channels. So all that other stuff is going to be going on here now. Please subscribe there. The YouTube algorithm is not going to help you find it. So you're going to have to do it yourself and really put a stick in the eye of the gatekeepers. They're going to hate it when you subscribe to that new channel. Let's see. Hold on 1 second, you guys. I need to just grab something. 1 sec. Okay, I'm back. Rosie says, wouldn't Bongino have had the highest clearance? Of course he would have. Like protecting presidents? Yeah. Let's see. Nevada says, I like your news. It makes mine less depressing. Well, Canada is the cautionary tale for the world right now. Radio Streamer says, talking of Islam here, it's not like any other religion. It's a political and personal set of rules for how to order all of society. Yes, it's equally political. In fact, you might say some say that it's even more political than it is just a religion. All right. So let's get back onto the land claims in Canada again, particularly in British Columbia. From CBC Watcher here. And this is the latest in the Cowichan Aboriginal title ruling in Richmond. Well, they've just handed over a bunch of extremely valuable land, and they're trying to expand that now as well, but handed over a bunch of extremely valuable land to an Indigenous tribe in British Columbia. And I'm not seeing the kind of outrage and, frankly, panic that this calls for. This is catastrophic when you consider that 95% of British Columbia is going to be in for this. So just wait.
To the latest now on a landmark ruling on Aboriginal title in Richmond, BC. A city councillor is calling on the province to support property owners impacted by that decision, granting Aboriginal title over a large swath of land to the Cowichan tribes, even if it means buying their land. CTV's Ben Milger has this story.
About 45 private owners have property within an 800-acre swath of land over which the courts recently granted the Cowichan tribes Aboriginal title. According to the province, about 100 more could be impacted by an appeal by the First Nations for an additional 1,000 acres. Most of them only found out about it after the decision came down.
This was backdoor dealing, and we're just vehemently opposed to the process. We should have been there at the table with the rest of the federal government and provincial government.
With every party to the original lawsuit appealing, it could take years for the case to make its way to the Supreme Court of Canada. In the meantime, there is uncertainty over land values and property owners' ability to sell, refinance, or even get insurance.
Our phones have been ringing. Clients who are not directly in the affected area are wondering about their values, how this affects them. So it's a larger concern, for sure.
Richmond councillor Alexa Liu, who called this news conference, wants the provincial and federal governments to negotiate with the Cowichan tribes in search of a settlement to bring an end to the uncertainty. In the meantime, she also wants the province to create a way for concerned property owners to cash out without risking their equity.
I want measures to be put in place that will backstop the Richmond landowners. So if a landowner needs to sell, they can sell maybe into a land trust and at a fair market value, maybe their last assessed value, something like that.
The Ministry of the Attorney General did not respond.
This is all impossible, by the way. Like, for one thing, that area in Richmond is now an economic dead zone, right? There'll be certainly no investment in there. You can forget about your home equity now. Nobody's going to buy your house. So you're not going to get a home equity loan. People are having trouble re-upping their mortgages. Or can't do that. So that's just an economic dead zone now. And basically, every part of the province where any people live, this is coming there too. This will turn British Columbia into the third world, right? It'll turn it into an economic dead zone. It's a catastrophe. They're talking about buying people out. You know what? That's not going to work, because let me show you something. Okay. The vast majority, approximately 75%, consists of unceded Indigenous territories where no treaties were signed. So that's British Columbia, 95%. 95% is vulnerable to this. One second. The most valuable regions without full treaty coverage face risks from claims that could affect resource extraction, development, or private titles. Lower mainland, Southwest, 50% of BC GDP. That's up for grabs. Here, let's go down here. Most populated parts vulnerable to land title claims. So let's see. Metro Vancouver, 2.6 million people. With these claims, this will become an economic dead zone. All right. Capital Region District, Victoria. So the capital. Central Okanagan, Kelowna, Fraser Valley, Abbotsford, Chilliwack, Vancouver Island, central northern areas. These areas represent 70% of BC's population and face heightened risks from unresolved claims. So let me show you this. What is the value of all of this land? All right. Based on BC assessment data, estimates the value of land in British Columbia at approximately $1.97 trillion as of early 2024. You're buying it out, it ain't going to work. Okay? Canada cannot borrow $2 trillion. Okay? This is not going to work. Okay? And for those people in the rest of Canada who just are kind of blithely saying, well, we're on treaty land, I wouldn't get too comfortable considering the activist judges we have. Contracts can be broken by judges. Okay? And activist judges don't care about the law anyway. They'll just do what they want. And even if that doesn't happen, right? Well, is the federal government going to bail out British Columbia? The 95% of the land that's going to be claimed by, indigenous bands of like 400 people or 37 people or, 1,215 people? Are they going to bail it out? 1.9 trillion is the value of the land. This is insanity that will break the country, the entire country. All right. Even outside of BC, even if like Alberta or Saskatchewan or Ontario are rock solid with their treaties, is investment really going to take that chance? Really take that chance that maybe some activist judge, maybe that the Supreme Court that's full of Trudeau appointees and that are activists might decide otherwise. This is a catastrophe for Canada. It seems to me that most Canadians don't even know about it, quite frankly, but they're going to find out. They're going to find out when they can't sell their house, when they can't get a mortgage, when they can't get a home equity loan. They're going to find out. And the storm has not yet begun, people. This is the result of letting people shame you into voting and doing things based on what they call empathy and compassion. This is the end result. This is the end result of mindless, idiotic, suicidal empathy. I mean, look, the far leftists, they want to tear down civilization, right? To build their communist utopia on top. They'll be loving this. This is insanity. This is insanity. I mean, how much, I haven't seen a report on it yet, but how much of home values dropped in all of BC right now? Right now. Because the whole place is up for grabs, right? What happened to Richmond, those same claims are going to be happening everywhere. So, yeah, it's all just it's a massive catastrophe that everybody's just sleepwalking through. It's just baffling to me. Baffling to me. And again, there's no, government, buying out or giving, there's no government buying people out and there's no financial way out of this because it's just simply too much money, right? Too much money. Canada doesn't have a couple trillion sitting around, and it can't get a couple of trillion. So, any case, this is what you get when you let idiots shame you into just being like, oh, well, empathy and stuff, and I want to be virtuous and blah, blah, blah. This is where you get, this is the road. This is the end state, or very close to the end of very close to the end state of suicidal empathy, of progressive politics. Now, I want to say that I do think that this will be stopped. So I do need to say that. I do think it has to be. It has to be stopped, right? The survival of the country depends on it being stopped. But it will probably go through years of legal wrangling. I don't think there'll be a quick fix. It'll take a while, and BC will become much poorer in that time. But we shall have to see. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, what are you guys talking about? JJ Nevada says, leave tonight. Radio Streamer says, I just don't see Canadians having the same gusto to take care of protecting their rights like Americans at this point. Hey, the trucker protests, that was an inspiration around the world, right? And Europeans took inspiration from that. And same thing down in the States. So now when it comes down to hey, look, you'll have a bunch of people that have been, posting their empathy and blah, 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 and putting up with the right flag on their profile on X or Instagram or whatever, who will be out protesting when it means their life work is going down the drain. How do you think all of those liberal boomers are going to respond? Because that's their life, is their home equity, right? That's their life. How do you think they're going to respond? They'll be out protesting. So it's not going to go over well. I think in BC, once everybody actually knows, realizes what the real consequences are of this, I don't think the NDP will get elected again for 1,000 years. I don't see a big future for leftist politics, because when people realize this is where it leads. This is where all of their virtue signaling leaves. All their mindless, heedless, idiotic virtue signaling leads. J-Ham, how you doing? Says Ken Burns' American Revolutionary War documentary started tonight. The first episode reviewed everything the King did to piss off the Patriots enough to fight. Seems the same thing is happening now. I'm sure that King Charles is all for all of this. The UN drip thing. Just the idiocy of it all. But now the chickens are coming home to roost. So I've always said since I started this channel that for most people, there's a line that they can get to where they just say, no, I'm not doing that. And this is going to be the line. It is baffling how it could get to this point. But never underestimate the power of leftist manipulation and just stupidity. People totally unreasoning until it's too late. Let's see how much empathy those liberal boomers have when they can't access their home equity. Let's see then. Let's see. McCross says, yeah, the truckers lost their livelihoods. Well, no, not all of them. There's, I think it's just a couple. There was a few. It wasn't all the truckers. Most of them were okay. But yeah, the government showed itself to be, the empathetic, the compassionate liberals showed themselves to be not very compassionate, actually to be authoritarian thugs, actually. Radio Streamer says that should have been a turning point for the entire country. Well, the country was still far too parasitized at that point. And they still are. I think though we're starting to get there. Let's see. Ottawa James, how you doing? Says the Riders won versus Montreal in the Grey Cup. Spambot says Good West takes down a Laurentian team. Maybe this land claims thing will spur the separation of Alberta even further. Let's see. All right, let's get to the last stuff here. Live stream. So here's some palate cleanser stuff. It's just a bunch of fun stuff, mostly anyway. Terrible. He made an executive decision without questioning it. So this doesn't look like a professional fire thing lady. It looks like some drunk woman at a pool party. And yeah, let's take a look. What happened? I think you know what's going to happen.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person. That's £200 off for a family of 4. We've got millions of free child place holidays available with 22 kilograms of baggage. Nothing beats.
Who gave her the fire? Is there a bottle down on the ground there? Who gave that drunk lady the fire? That seems like a terrible idea. Don't give her the fire. She'll light herself on fire, obviously. Let's see. Love these statue pranks. A couple of these are pretty funny. Let's take a peek.
Now you know the game. Are you ready? 'Cause I'm coming to get you.
That was good. Never kick a statue. It's probably a person. So if you take anything from the stream tonight, take that. Girl and her dog. This is just nice, right? This is way better than Canada being destroyed. Dogs are the best creatures, I think. I do think they're the best. They're better than cats for sure. Not that I don't like cats. I like cats. Just dogs are better. They like to help out. They always want to help. All right. What do we got next? Little girl helping mummy goat giving birth. Future veterinarian. I think Rosie sent this one in. It's kind of gross, but I'll show it. Well, the little goat's looking like it's doing okay. Mother doesn't seem to mind much. Probably just like, thanks. So I don't know. It's kind of nice, I guess. That's early life experience right there. Top quality life experience. Let's see. What's going on here? This was his first hunt and his brother ruined it. I think you know what happens. So, obviously the kitten wouldn't know what to do with those birds, but Spambot, why do you say these things? Why do you say these horrible, horrible things? Let's see. Spambot says the CFIA would be quick. They'd immediately go in and shoot everything. Spambot says, kill the goat and maid the kid. Yes, they would. Yes, they would. I would expect Pierre to say something about that. All right. They would be quick, Spam. They would be right on top of that one. Let's see. MAGA has the best sense of humor ever. The left can't even come up with a worthwhile meme. They really can't. It's a crazy thing. Let's see.
This is a movement like nobody's ever seen before.
So this is the No Kings protest.
And frankly, this was...
Hold on. Okay, let's get a closer look here.
I believe the greatest political movement of all time.
Huh. That's a strange gentleman.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Oh, that seems inappropriate. Totally inappropriate there. What was this gentleman saying?
There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level.
The age of men is over. The time of the orc has come.
That's it. It's the age of the orc. I keep forgetting.
Of importance because we're going to help our country heal. Help our country heal.
What did the sign say? I want to see what the sign said. They weren't happy about that. What the hell? Oh, is this like Trump? Oh, these people are so weird and gross. Let's see. Well, yeah, so the no kings thing, and I don't know. They got the swastikas there. I find this fascinating because the level of idiocy and just total and utter ignorance of just your own politics, your own politicians to actually to put a swastika on Trump. Now, how many streets in Israel are called Hitler Street? How many streets in Israel are named after Hitler? And the answer is 0. But they have named, I know they named at least one street after Trump in Israel, but 0 for Hitler. So I don't know. There is it seems like a popular chain store in Gaza called Hitler. So there's that. But they got this swastika on his cheek there. And again, Hitler had 0 things named after him, like anything named after him in Israel. 0, right? Trump does. He has at least one that I know of. So that would be a clue right there that perhaps he's not actually a Nazi. Or the fact that he's got Jewish family. That would also be a clue, right? Or that he's a huge Israel supporter. Also a clue. Also clues. So the level of just total mindless, brainless parasitization, mindless, brainless parasitization that it requires to make that is truly astonishing, right? Just to be so lacking in any kind of awareness that you sit down and think, oh yeah, I'll put this swastika on because he's like Adolf Hitler. He's like a Nazi. The level of ignorance to do that is truly astonishing and baffling to me. That at some point, like just to avoid embarrassment or just personal pride or something, right? Go, maybe I'll look into it a little bit. And if you did, you'd realize, well, these aren't really things that Hitler would do, right? The things he's doing, they're not really things that Hitler would actually do. In fact, they're kind of opposite. I don't know. It's just alternate universe, maddening, incredible stupidity. I guess it's just being in a bubble, being in a totally brainless bubble, I guess. Anyway, that was I'm glad he did that to those stupid people. I'm glad he played the Trump victory speech for those stupid people. Now, I don't know what to think about this. I don't know. One of you guys sent this in. So here's Chris Martinson, who I like. I think he's really good, actually. But he's talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination thing, and he's got the bullet there, and he's saying there's no way. Let's listen to it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on here.
There's not a chance in the world that this giant cigar of a round got stopped by Charlie's neck. Didn't happen. So there's not a chance in.
So I guess the idea that there was another shooter, and here's the thing. Weird stuff happens all the time. Things that shouldn't happen all the time. Right? So maybe he's right. I don't know. But for me, it just seems kind of like a open and shut case. Like you the guy who confessed, and you've got the weapon, and this video of him from the perch where he was shooting from, right? Like, and there's all like the messages and stuff from before, and the fact that he hated Charlie Kirk, and so maybe he's right. I don't know, but I mean, weird stuff does happen, right? Stuff that shouldn't happen happens all the time for just all kinds of reasons that people wouldn't have anticipated. So I don't know. I mean, I put that there for you guys. You guys believe what you want. I don't know. I'm not saying I think that he's wrong and maybe there wasn't a second shooter. I'm not saying that I know for a fact that's not true. I don't. But I don't also take this as rock solid proof of anything either. All right, let's go to the chat. I know you guys are going to have something to say about that. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Actually, let's go here. There we go. Let's see. McCross says he should have started blasting "Dude looks like a lady." Sign says, I'm a retard. I'm a retard. Let's see. Hold on. So the spam bot's got a link here. Let me take a look at this. We'll bring it up real quick. Hold on. I feel like I'm a little low energy tonight. I don't know if you guys have picked up on that. My apologies. But I guess I just am a bit low energy. I don't know. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. Let's see. Michelle, LA. Trudeau beats out Brussels sprouts as Canadians' most hated vegetable. This is a good one. And I'll tell you how I know it's a good one, because I already had this one in my in the memes bookmark, which we're going to go through on now. I need to get a couple more memes before I do the meme segment, but we'll do that probably on Tuesday. But that's how I know, because I actually, great minds think alike. I already had this one ready to go as soon as I had a few more memes, because I turned those into a clip. That's those are the meme review videos. Ottawa James says Trump is big in Eastern Europe too. Yeah, they like him over there. Rosie says, so the Trump speech broadcast reminds me that all church bells should be ringing during outdoor prayer shows of force. Yes, well, something that, I mean, they do all over the Western world is that they'll do Islamic prayer in front of like cathedrals, churches. It's clearly a show of dominance, right? There's no need to go. Why would you go in front of a church to do it out in the street? It's a show of dominance, right? Nobody does that in front of mosques, right? It's a show of dominance, and I think it's bad, and I think it's a warning, and people should be alarmed by that, because there's clear intent behind it, right? Let's see. McCross says he's full of shit. Nevada says he's right. McCross says it was on a downward trajectory. Nevada says that would throw Charlie 15 feet minimum. Is what you're saying? 15 inches? 15 feet minimum, I guess you're saying? I don't know. It threw him off his chair, McCross says. Trudeau Survivor says, why is he holding up the entire cartridge? Well, that's a really good point, isn't it? He's intentionally trying to bullshit his audience. Yeah, that's actually 100% right. Why is he holding up the entire thing? And I know he's familiar with firearms too. So why would he do that? That's a really good point that you got there, right? Really good point. McCross says it got deflected off his spinal cord. Radio Streamer says, I'm very low energy. I can barely stay awake. We can't do another one. We got to wait till Tuesday. We got to wait till Tuesday for the they, them energy. I'm so sorry. I'm afraid the rest of the chat just will not stand for it. Espenbot says, that's the link I shared. Okay. Let's see. Nevada says it would blow his bones into dust. Ottawa James says, I like Brussels sprouts, though. Not anymore, you don't. Spambot is enjoying a ribeye and a huge bowl of veggies for dinner. Well, isn't that nice? Let's see. Nevada says you can drop a moose with that. Trudeau Survivor says, remember the libs were saying an AR-15 can blow a giant hole straight through the neck of a deer? There was so many great memes about people showing like massive like cars exploding and saying this is the damage one bullet from an AR-15 can cause. There was like a ton of those around for a while. They were hilarious. They show like the Death Star exploding stuff. Anyway, people are arguing about the bullet. I don't know. All right. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to argue with anybody about it. Maybe. But I don't know. So all right. So Nick Fuentes is, I'm not really interested in these kind of figures, to be honest, who seem to be a lot of like facade involved, and maybe not or maybe just personality or some kind of charisma or something. Was not really that much behind it all. But this caught my interest because this was posted by Tommy Robinson, who does not like Nick Fuentes. Tommy Robinson says, "You are gay, Nick Fuentes. I've only just seen this. I actually find you quite funny, even though I disagree with lots. You simply have no idea what it's like to grow up around Islamic communities. Everything you said in here was nonsense. Why didn't you get pulled in for a January 6th, Nick?" So pulled in for arrested for January 6th. Well, that's an interesting question, but let's hear what he's responding to. So again, I don't watch Nick Fuentes videos. I'm not really interested in that corner of the internet. I kind of find it, even though it's this sort of thing gets a lot of ink, I don't think it's ever as influential as it's made out. I think there's good reasons for certain powerful, I think there's good reasons for media to create the impression of influence for people that they can use as a foil, as an enemy.
Tommy Robinson got freed on Twitter, so he can go and lead all the hooligans, all the soccer guys, to fight the Muslims. Finally, we get to fight the Muslims. No, you idiot. You are being unleashed as the stupid Goyim hordes to suppress the Palestinian protests. And once this is over, they're going to throw you in jail for doing it ever again. Tommy Robinson got freed on Twitter.
So this is 100% wrong and totally counterproductive. And I understand why Tommy Robinson is responding here to this, because this is frankly idiotic. And there's no substance behind this whatsoever. I understand there are people who don't know anything who will find it appealing, right? Because there's a certain, he's kind of an interesting character, but this isn't serious. I mean, what is this? This feels like the wet dream of some leftist who needs an enemy, who needs somebody to point to say, see how bad they are. See, they're terrible. They're evil. Although this is kind of a weird mashup, because here he's defending I guess like grooming gangs in the UK, because that's how Tommy Robinson is known. That's why he's known, because the beginning of his activist career was talking about bringing attention to grooming gangs in the UK. So he says, you simply have no idea what it's like to grow up around Islamic communities. Everything you said in here was nonsense. Yeah, like he's talking about soccer hooligans. What did he say?
Tommy Robinson got freed on Twitter, so he can go and lead all the hooligans.
All the hooligans. Well, I watched that not long ago. I just watched the Reclaim the Kingdom protest in London, which was like at least 1 million people. That organized by Tommy Robinson. He was there. that was like a bunch of families. Very peaceful, by the way. It was not hooligans. It was just normal British people that are very concerned about the policies of their government regarding immigration. These were not hooligans. These were just normal British people. Nick Fuentes has no idea what he's talking about here. It's very strange. And then I guess he's doing it. He's a tool of the Jewish conspiracy or something that wants the UK to. I don't like to get into these weird conspiracy worlds, right? I just don't like it, and it seems pointless and counterproductive to me. Let's let him continue.
Soccer guys to fight the Muslims. Finally, we get to fight the Muslims. No, you idiot. You are being unleashed as the stupid Goyim hordes to suppress the Palestinian protests. And once this is over, they're going to throw you in jail.
So Tommy Robinson exists, and he's been doing this for a long time. To what, like 15 years at this point? He's been thrown into prison several times just on purely political persecutions. And it's all for the goal that he can help the government shut down the Palestinian protests. Like, this is idiotic dribble, right? This is gibberish. It's totally counterproductive. I don't understand why anybody would. I mean, like, I understand if you know literally nothing, you don't know anything about Tommy Robinson, for instance. I understand why this might be appealing to somebody, but this is just gibberish. This makes no sense, right? Like, just logically, you follow it. Like, if you know anything about Tommy Robinson, none of what he said just makes sense. And let's go back. He has talked at length. Tommy Robinson has talked at length about what he witnessed growing up in Luton, right? And obviously, this guy has never heard of any of that. Like, no, it's all. He has a cause, and it's a legitimate cause, and it's what he says it is. So this kind of makes me a bit angry, actually, and I don't like. I find it idiotic to just decide that Israel is behind everything. So Israel is responsible for communism, but it's also responsible for capitalism. It's just whatever anybody wants it to be, left or right. I find this to be idiotic. It's exactly the same as what leftists say about white people, particularly white men. Right? Like, silence is violence, but also saying anything is violence. Right? It's exactly the same thing. There's nothing different. So I think that's why it offends me so much, because I just recognize it's the exact same thing that some awful commie fucking professor at McGill or something is saying about me. It's all bullshit. It's total bullshit. You can criticize any people. You can criticize me. You can criticize Israel. Criticize anywhere. God knows. I criticize lots of people, right? But at least have it make sense. It's got to make sense, right? It's got to be based on reality. It can't just be the fix-all for every complaint that you have, even when it's totally incoherent or even when it's totally incoherent or, the ideas clash against each other, right? I don't know. I have no time for this shit. It's just fucking stupid. Are there legitimate criticisms of, like, Israel, for instance? Sure. Of course, every country, right? I don't know. What is this? I don't know, it kind of pisses me off, actually. That the dismissiveness of it coming from a place of just total ignorance. So, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be spending a lot of time listening to this guy. Let's see. Wait a second. Did something really special and important happen? I think something very special and important happened. Hold on. Where is it? Here we go. Look at this. What a wonderful thing. This is just, hold on. Guess what? Gifted. Yes. Guess what, Trudeau survivor? So that's the best person ever horn. And that means that we have a best person ever in this stream. That best person ever is Trudeau Survivor. Not only did Trudeau Survivor have the courage and the resilience to survive Trudeau, but at the end of all that pain and struggle and strife, he still had the courage and resilience to gift a free subscription to Radio Baloney. I mean, come on. I mean, if that's not a hero, I don't know what a hero is. Anyway, best person ever. In Ottawa, James, if I don't say so, let me just say, extremely lucky person, but nobody deserves it more. Ottawa, James, nobody deserves it more. Beautiful. By the way, it's a good time to say subscribe to the channel. And there's nothing that you can do to help me more other than, I don't know, giving me $1 million. But other than that, being a member of the channel or gifting a membership to the channel is the best thing you can do to help the channel, other than giving me like large sums of money. But, membership's pretty good too. Very good too. It really is the best way to help the channel. Thanks, Trudeau Survivor. That's awesome. Fantastic stuff. All right. Let's get to the chat now. Let's see. Oh, wait a second. Was there a second one? Is that the second? Oh, wait a second. Trudeau Survivor did it twice. Oh my God. We got to go again. All right. Best person ever, Trudeau Survivor. My God, that's 2 gifted memberships in the same stream from Trudeau Survivor. I'm just going to say it. Like, I know that we all have our heroes from history, right? The people we admire. It might be Einstein or something. I don't know. Galileo, whatever. All human garbage. Total dog shit compared to Trudeau Survivor. When I say best person ever, I don't say that lightly. And it all worked out for everybody. And I got what I wanted. Fantastic stuff. All right. Okay. Let's see. Ottawa James says, Tommy Robinson, I respect. Yes, he's like one of the most courageous people, right? Like, he's a modern hero, I think, for the UK. Nevada says they are locking people up for texting. Yes, they are. And he's fighting against that too. Macross says, for some reason I have premium again. I don't know how. I did it. Let's see. No, I didn't. Let's see. JJ says, I don't think Richie understands what he is saying. What am I saying? Maybe don't take it so far out of context next time. The soccer fans will be arrested. Well, it wasn't soccer fan. Like, I saw that huge rally they did a few months ago in London, and there's no soccer hooligans. It wasn't soccer hooligans. It was just normal people. Let's see. I mean, look, I am not. Oh, hold on a second. Let's see. Hold on. Raider Streamer says Nick Fuentes is scum to me, is what he says. Scum. Raider Streamer says, I don't like the man. Yeah, I don't like him. After watching that, I don't like him either. Nevada says, I'd listen to Nick before Ben. I don't like hate Ben Shapiro. I don't listen to him much anymore. Very, very rarely. Because I don't know, I've gone a different direction, I guess, but I think he's okay. With this, I just see as totally, I don't understand where the value is, because everything he said was wrong and also stupid. So I don't see the value here, right? Radio Streamer says I dislike them both. So that's fair. That's right. Maybe I just don't get it, right? Like, I don't want to offend anybody. Maybe I just don't get it. Maybe I need to see more clips. But that clip there, I find very offensive. And that doesn't mean I think it should be banned from the internet. I find it offensive I find it offensive in that it's nothing. Right? It's just, there's no content there. But again, I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe I need to watch more clips, but I didn't like where that was going. Let's see. All right, let's go down to the bottom. Macross says, since Ben ran off Brett Cooper, I lost interest. Yeah, I haven't, I used to use Daily Wire as a source. When I was just doing like the standalone videos, I used to use that as a source all the time. I don't use it. I go through sometimes and look, and it doesn't really, I don't know. I guess I just kind of gone in a different direction, but Radio Streamer says, Ben is not the same as he was. Macross says, didn't he run off Matt Walsh too? Well, I think Matt Walsh is still with the Daily Wire, isn't he? I think. I am kind of more with Matt Walsh in that I don't think that I don't think the right should engage in purity tests. And I know that sounds hypocritical from me after criticizing Nick Fuentes here, but you notice what I added to it? I said, I don't think he should be canceled or driven off the internet. Right. So, and I also said people can listen to that if they want. So that's the difference. Right, with the left say that's not cancel culture there. That's just me saying, that's me expressing a preference, right? And I don't want to run off anybody else if they like it, right? So, and again, I think that's where Matt Walsh. I don't listen to see a ton of Matt Walsh either, but from what I've seen on X anyway, it seems like he doesn't want us to. The right to just fracture into a bunch of different, ideological sects that are unable to, that are all kind of weaker separately. Radio Streamer says he pulled a less crazy Candace Owens. Judo Survivor says, I stopped watching Daily Wire when they booted Candace. Radio Streamer says Candace was brilliant. She really was. When she first came out, she was brilliant. She is not the same now either. I have no idea when she started getting so out there on some of what she says. I watched her for years, so I can say that. She's certainly very different now. Ottawa James says Candace has kind of lost it. I agree with that. Macross says, I think Candace got desperate for clicks. I don't know. It may be something deeper than that because she's very intelligent. Very intelligent. So, but something happened. Judo Survivor says Candace caught what Kanye has. Well, I think Kanye, the guy's an artist. I think that it was all part of a performance with Kanye, is what I think. Let's see. Spambot says Nick is basically an uneducated teenage angry man with a large TikTok following. Yeah, I think to me it feels like he's being propped up. I'm not saying that he's insincere or he doesn't mean what he's saying or he's working on somebody else's agency. I just think that he's kind of the perfect guy that if you don't like the right, you can put him up. He doesn't really even seem particularly right-wing to me. I'm not sure that he would fit into the category of right-wing because everything he's saying about like Israel and Jews is that's normal on the left now. He would fit in with like what's his name? Hassan, what's his name? Cenk Uyghur's nephew. And I don't know. I saw somewhere he praises Stalin as well. So I don't know. Like I just think he's irrelevant to the movement or the goals that like we all have. Right. Or that, or I'm not saying everybody on here all has the same goals, the same. No, we don't, obviously, and you guys let me know that. But I don't think he is part of the umbrella that we're really under, right? Well, I know he's not from watching that, right? So it feels like he might just be Hassan Piker. Thank you, True to Survivor. Otto James says Stalin. I don't know. I don't know if that's true either, but he doesn't really feel conservative to me. I mean, again, he'd fit in right in with all those insane Palestine people, right? He seems to be pretty fond of Islam, so not very right wing there. Apparently, he doesn't like Tommy Robinson, called him an idiot. So I don't know. I mean, like the Jewish conspiracy theory stuff that's all over the left now, right? They love it over there. So I don't know. It doesn't really seem conservative. He's not part of what we're doing. So he feels like somebody who's being propped up. He feels like just a convenient guy to prop up, to point at, and say, that's the right. See how evil they are? Radio Streamer says, Collargate Piker has some good memes. Well, yeah, he seems like a pretty awful guy, the electric shock collar on his dogs, because he has a dog, and for some reason, he insists that it has to sit through his 18-hour-long live streams on this little dog bed in the corner of the screen. So I guess it's like an accessory for his streams, and then he has an electric dog collar shocker. So if it tries to move, he shocks it. I mean, it's pretty awful, actually. Macross says, I think talking about Fuentes here, that's just the blog game. The more outlandish, the more clickbait. Oh, James says, Nick has nice hair, though. So I don't know. Is he gay? Tommy Robinson says, you are gay. I don't know. Is he? I don't know. So I've heard a lot of people say he's a Fed. I don't know if he's that. He might just be a guy who figured out how to get clicks, or maybe he believes everything that he says. I don't know. No idea. I can't read minds. But there's a lot of stuff. Why are you gay? So I don't know. Let's see. Every clip of Nick on the feed. Let's see. The irony of it all. So anyway, I don't know. I'm not really interested in this shit. That's why I don't pay attention to it, really. I only took a look at this one because it was this was posted by Tommy Robinson, who I have a huge amount of respect for. Let's see. So this is kind of funny. Oh, hold on a second. Let's go back to here for a second. Spambot saying, Richie, for a customer, I integrated a shock collar into a very attractive locking choker. Apparently, the recipient of that choker loves it. What's that? I don't know what's going on there, man. I don't know what's going on there. The very Esh recipient? I don't know what's going on there, man. It sounds weird. Streamer says, may not agree with everything Stossel says, but at least he's genuine. I think John Stossel's pretty good, isn't he? All right. Let's get through this. So from Jum, I don't know who that is. Jester Jum. This is a joke. If you're naked on your front porch and the neighbors can't see you, it's rural. If you're naked on the front porch and the neighbors call the cops, it's suburban. If you're naked on the front porch and the neighbors ignore you, it's urban. If you're naked on the front porch and your naked on the front porch and your naked neighbor also on their front porch waves at you, it's Florida. If you're naked on a bicycle attending a protest, it's Portland. Yes. Yes. Florida really like that? Oh my God. Let's see. Streamer says fetish. Is that what it was about? The color thing? I don't know. Sounds like a kind of Spambot says BDSM customers that, how is that fun? How was that fun? This kid's reaction when someone scores is hilarious. Let's take a look. It actually is pretty good.
Don't move.
That was pretty funny. That's pretty adorable, I gotta say. Let's see what's going on here. If it wasn't on camera, nobody would believe this guy. So this is kind of crazy, actually. Let's check this out. Icy roads. What's going to happen?
Oh!
Perfect. Oh. Just perfect. Wow. So this is just a nice one here. So apparently this dog's stranded hours on the ice, cold and trembling. Doesn't really trust him at first, but then he learns to. Hold on. It's just nice.
Come here, Ivy. Come here. Come on. Come on, Ivy. Come here. Come on. Come on. Here, give me a hot dog. Come on. Over here. Hey, come on, Ivy. Come on. It's okay.
Good girl. Good girl.
Nah. Come on. We actually talked about hitting the gate with a loader. Good girl. Stuff and down. So neighbor guy had the canoe that thought about that.
Yeah.
Let me know if you want to towel or anything, Johnny.
I don't want this right now.
Yeah.
You want me to grab a blanket to use like as a sling?
No.
She's about 60 pounds.
Pull out my arm. Yep. You stay on that side so she can see you.
If it was the apocalypse, I would have done the exact same thing, and then I would have eaten it. Because, life is precious. Mine. All right, let's go. Michelle Obama. So she's about to say something obnoxious and idiotic. Let's take a look.
Worry about it. Let me explain something to white people. Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern. So when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards, we are trapped by the straightness. That's why so many of us can't swim and we run away from the water. People won't go to the gym because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all. It is exhausting and it's so...
Well, just don't do it. And we don't care if you do it. You're not doing it for us. I mean, it's just, again, did I use the words obnoxious and idiotic? Okay, just desperately trying to find some victimhood. Nobody gives a shit. We know how your hair grows. We don't care what you do with it. We don't give a shit. Why is she laughing? What's funny about this? Is she laughing at how idiotic it is? Okay, let's continue.
So expensive and it takes up so much time. Braids are for y'all so we can work harder and focus on the work. So why do we...
Braids are for you all so we can work hard, focus on the what? What? This is a fantasy world. Does she actually believe this? Does she actually believe that she's being oppressed because white people are forcing her to straighten her hair so she can work harder? Like what? How does any of this make sense? Like, didn't she go to Harvard or something? Like, it is, again, obnoxious and idiotic. It's the stupidest thing I've ever fucking heard.
Need an act of law to tell white folks to get out of our hair.
We're not in your hair, and we don't give a shit. Literally, no white person cares about your hair. Nobody gives a shit. And you hear them all laughing and clapping like seals, like trained seals, without a brain cell in their heads. This is the stuff that just drives you nuts. It's just idiotic. There must be one person in the audience going, well, you're just making this up. Like, you're just making up this whole new class of oppression for yourself. That's not real. Nobody cares. If she grew an afro, everybody would cheer and applaud. If she has straight hair, everybody will cheer and applaud while she berates her audience for forcing her to have straight hair. If she has an afro, the seals will. Nobody actually gives a shit. I don't know. This is the mindset of the left, though. This is the leftists will listen to this and they'll laugh and clap their hands. They don't even really know why. They just know that it feels progressive and racism and blah, blah, blah. And they're the good people. And notice how she doesn't distinguish between the evil conservative white people forcing her to straighten her hair, and then the good liberal white people, because she doesn't think any of the white people are good. That's the truth of it. I think she's made that clear. Ottawa James is very perceptive sometimes. He says she's got shoulders like a linebacker, bruh. Shoulders like a linebacker. Very perceptive. Very perceptive. There's a lot of he's in the chat. Rosie says, I'm a victim too. Yeah, she was the first lady. Real victim. Let's see. Macross says, so bun it, bitch, and buy a wig. There's some big mics in there. You know what? Like, it's so gross. Just zero respect for anybody who will be this manipulative, because she must know that it's, I mean, maybe she really is this dumb. I don't know. All right, let's move on. Anyway, that was frustrating. That was infuriating. Let's see. This one we're going to save for tomorrow, because you got to play the music. It'll probably get copyrighted. I just get that. We already did that last time, so we're not going to do that. We already did that. So I guess, yes, we've already done everything. So that's it. It's over. 3 hours. I said I was only going to do 2 hours tonight, and I got roped into 3 hours again. Roped in. Because I'm a sucker, that's why. There's another extra hour of my life gone right there. But thank you, guys. JDL makes a great point here. How are you doing, JDL? Did you just get it? You just got here. It's over. I'm sorry, JDL. I wish it weren't like this, but I'm afraid it has to be. But still makes a really important point. Hit the like button, everybody. Hit the like button. Look at a final appeal to the YouTube people. All of the world news, U.S. news, meme reviews, woke mind virus stuff is going to be on Radio Baloney News, the new channel. So I've split off a second channel from the main one, which is only going to have live streams like what you're watching right now and Canadian news. And then you've got Radio Baloney News, the new channel where all of the world stuff, U.S., UK, mind virus stuff, meme review stuff is going to go. I have to appeal directly to you guys to subscribe to it, because the algorithm is not going to help me, obviously, not with the stuff that I cover. Everybody else, oh yeah, Rumble people, don't worry, it's all going to the same channel as always, so there's no new channels there. Everything's the same. You don't have to do anything other than become a channel member, of course. But everybody subscribe and put in that final like of the evening, people, because those likes are wonderful and they help. Very good for my ego. And yeah, that's it. So blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for showing up. You guys are awesome. It would be really boring without you, so I'm glad you show up. As long as you guys keep showing up, I will keep showing up too. And yeah, everybody have a great night and a great start to the week. And we'll be back tomorrow night for the premium stream, 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern. There might be a little bit of Tales of the Gold Monkey happening, so I don't know. I guess you'll have to show up to find out. Good night, everyone.